起来了。
哦，进去了，看到没有？
他们。
哇，太可怕了。
宝贝喜欢抓进去。
可是他们生病了。
所以他们要去哪里
？Right now is the time to show solidarity and support for the people of China. If you're concerned about the viral pandemic originating from China, you will probably be beaten into submission and ignorance through accusations of racism and bigotry. Let me give you an example. If I want to fly to Canada and I want to find out some information about the coronavirus in Canada, well, let me Google it and let's see what pops up. Articles and articles about racism and xenophobia. And you know what? If I search about the coronavirus in general, I'm kind of getting the same. Although I'm starting to see actual news on how to avoid and prepare myself for this virus, I still see all this racism garbage everywhere. On top of that, we're being told that H1N1 and flu and many other past, done and finished outbreaks are worse. And we shouldn't criticize China because it's actually us who are worse. And somehow the past defeated diseases take away from the fact that we are currently facing a very real and deadly threat. Stop! This is bullshit. This is a serious situation and we are not to take it lightly. We are not to be told that worrying about this virus is racist or overreacting. Let's look at this from a practical and non-emotional standpoint. This virus has spread in short order from a city in China to 28 countries. Entire countries have now blocked travel to and from China. China itself has had to shut down entire cities. Hospitals are over capacity to the point where exhibition centers and public buildings are now being used to house the sick, as well as new hospitals, which are more like temporary construction worker housing tent cities, and quarantine camps have had to be built. This is serious. The Chinese government would in no way, shape or form ever go to the lengths it is going to unless this was incredibly serious. This is going to and has already impacted the Chinese economy in a massive way. The Chinese know and understand just how severe this is. The initial whistleblower, Li Wenliang, who I've covered in my previous video, is now dead. He has died and succumbed to, unfortunately, the effects of the virus. This is very sad news to me and to the entire medical community in China, and it should be to the whole world. This guy's a hero, and currently his wife, his pregnant wife, is also suffering from this disease, which was passed on to her through him from his patients. We have an awful situation where Chinese citizens are lying to immigration and customs in order to escape out of mainland China and potentially take the virus with them. We have this Australian student who bragged about changing his country of origin from China to Hong Kong in order to slip through the Australian customs. Of course, this is despicable. He's since traveled to Sydney and all over the place. If he was a carrier of the disease, which hopefully he's not, he could have potentially spread this to countless innocent people. This is the tip of the iceberg. We've seen people bragging about going to Disneyland with symptoms. We've seen people bragging going to France, etc. We've covered this all before, but there is a trend of people going online and bragging on how they managed to circumvent all of the systems in place to help stop the spread of this virus. This is, of course, leading to a spike in racially motivated incidents of abuse, which are, of course, abhorrent and do nothing other than to exacerbate the situation. Let me throw a whole new perspective at you. How is it that the Chinese are dealing with this? Chinese people right now in China and across the globe are aware of how bad this situation is. Chinese people in California, Kansas, Johannesburg, Paris, Frankfurt, Lhasa, etc., are buying up all the masks, hand sanitizer and gloves in your local pharmacies/hardware stores. You think I'm joking? Yesterday I went to my local Walmart here in LA and all of the gloves and hand sanitizer and masks were sold out. I then went to the Home Depot, same deal. All of the N95 masks were sold out. Orders that my wife placed on Amazon were cancelled without any explanation. They only said that, oh, sorry, they don't have any stock anymore. But when she placed the orders, they said they had stock. That's why she ordered them. She tried to get a couple of extra masks for some of her friends, and unfortunately, all of those orders were cancelled. We're facing a big shortage, and if you don't believe me, you can just go to your local pharmacy or go to your local hardware store, wherever you live, and see if they have any N95 masks in stock. Right now in China, Chinese people are being paid to rat out other Chinese people who they suspect may have traveled to or come from Wuhan. Chinese people from Wuhan are being discriminated against, ostracized, beaten up and reviled by Chinese people all around China, and are shunned by Chinese communities abroad. We are seeing true racism and discrimination, and unfortunately, mostly happening in China by Chinese against other Chinese. We need to cut through this madness. A virus doesn't care about your feelings. A virus doesn't care about your skin color. A virus doesn't care about how accepting you are or how racist you are. A virus will kill indiscriminately. Now is not the time for paranoia and hate. Now is the time for cold, calculated reasoning. If you suspect anyone to have recently been in contact with someone who has traveled from China, be polite, but take precautions. This virus has been found living on doorknobs, living in human feces, and of course is spread through coughing and sneezing. Perfectly healthy appearing people have been known to spread the virus, and the incubation period is long, currently estimated between 1 and 14 days. Wear a mask, keep your distance, stay away from large crowds, wash your hands as the first thing you do each time you return home. Take your shoes off and leave them outside the door if you have that option. Right now is the time to show solidarity and support for the people of China. This is an awful virus which has torn families apart and is sowing grief, uncertainty, and despair amongst those currently in lockdown. We need to lead by example and show China that racism and discrimination is not the way to go. Although we are likely to continue to see the people of Wuhan treated with suspicion and discrimination within the borders of China for some years to come, we need to focus on ensuring that this virus is stopped. And you can do so by making sure that you are taking the right precautions. I have 2 messages to finish this off. One for the racists out there, and the other one to the Chinese who are currently trying to circumvent customs and health checks, etc., etc. To the Chinese people that are gaming the system to intentionally slip through customs and avoid health screenings and systems in place to contain the threat of this virus, fuck you. You are disgusting, despicable excuses for human beings. You are selfish and willingly putting so many innocent people at risk. Not only are you giving cause for people to distrust your fellow Chinese citizens, but you are justifying these racist attacks against you and other Asians. You are scum, and you should be arrested and held accountable. By defeating the trust of other nations and even your own country, you have done irreparable damage to both China and the reputation of Chinese people as a whole. To the racists who are singling out Asians and leveling abuse at them, grow up, you immature bellends. Your actions are being used by the CCP as justification for their vilification of the West. And you're playing into the hands of the stupid worldwide misinformation campaign. Show a little sophistication and compassion. The CCP are shitheads, but the people of China, the actual people, need our help and support. They are not the CCP. They need our help, they need our understanding, and they need our compassion. Now is not the time for panic or overreaction, but it's also not the time to be stupid and treat this as if it's not a real thing. We need to protect ourselves, we need to protect our families, and above all, we need to protect each other. Please use common sense. Do not trust the numbers coming out of China, out of mainland China. They are all bullshit. Yesterday, I was on the line with a friend who lives in Zhuhai, which is a stone's throw away from Shenzhen. According to the official numbers, there are 0 cases in Zhuhai. He was visited by the police, who told him that there were 3 confirmed cases in his complex, his apartment complex alone. Who knows how many else in the city? But this is just a small example of what I've been hearing. The numbers that we're being fed are bullshit. There are all these stories of people being cremated because they've died and they haven't been tested for the virus, so they're not recorded as being infected. They're just dead and cremated and done. And this, of course, is skewing the numbers too. We've got a lot of bullshit to cut through and unpack in the future regarding this tragedy. But now is not the time for blame and anger. Now is the time to be cool, clear-headed, and logical. Stay safe, stay awesome. See you next time.